Hi, this is Dave DePinto from Boris Effects with another Boris Effects podcast. This is a follow-up to our last podcast where we looked at transitions in Final Cut Pro. With the release of Final Cut Studio 2 and Final Cut Pro 6, our native transitions have finally returned. We'd like to thank Apple for their support and assistance with this release. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Artbeats for the footage used in this podcast. This time, in the Final Cut timeline, you'll set up your clips in a linear fashion like I have here. Make sure to leave ample amounts of head and tail on both sides of the clip. You can start by selecting the cut between the clips, going to the Effects menu, Video Transitions, Boris, and Red Transition. Double-click to load it in the viewer window, and click the red banner to launch. Now inside Red, we're going to make a simple paint transition. We can make a wipe using a pre-built image brush as our source. Go to the first frame of the transition and deselect V1. Now you're going to add a paint filter to the timeline. Go to the Style palette, go to Brushes, then select the Image Brush category, and we're going to look for an image that has a good alpha outline. I like the flame, so we're going to select that and double-click it. Over in the Controls window, you have access to change the look and feel of your paint stroke. If you have a Wacom tablet, you can even change modulation for all sorts of parameters. I'm going to keep this simple and leave size set to constant and crank it up. Now over in the Canvas window, I'm going to paint until I cover the canvas. Once you're done, select the paint filter layer and set the stroke end to 0. This will animate the stroke painting on throughout the entire effect. We're done with the paint filter now, so close that up and expand V1. To make the transition, just drag the paint filter onto the mask track of V1. Go to frame 1 and you'll see the wrong image on the screen. That's because we're painting on with alpha. This is real easy to fix. Just go to the invert mask button for V1 and click it. Step through the effect and you'll see we didn't exactly cover the canvas on the last frame. This is easy enough to fix. Go to about 5 frames back, set an opacity keyframe at 100%, go to the final and set that to 0. This will fade out the effect nicely and this effect is complete. Apply back to Final Cut Pro and you can render there. I'll pause the recording while this renders, even though it should only take a moment. Let's play back the effect to see the custom transition we just built. This is Dave DePinto from Boris Effects. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial podcast. Please don't forget to check out our website at www.boriseffects.com.